Hi everyone, in this lecture we will create the final microservice that will consume the Twitter Analytics Kafka topic and insert the data into PostgreSQL. I call this service as Analytics Service because after putting the data to PostgreSQL, we can then run any query on that data and then run some analytics jobs. For this service, we will just return the latest data for a word, which will hold the latest word count. So this can be an alternative query store to get the word count. As you can remember, in previous section, we created the Kafka state store to obtain the word count for a word and show it on our web client. So after adding this service, we will make it configurable on query service to query either from Kafka state store or from relational PostgreSQL database. Both will return the same word count result for a word. We will first start by creating a new schema on PostgreSQL. We can use pgadmin to do that. Let's add a new schema analytics and create a table called Twitter-analytics with columns ID, UID, word character, word count big integer, and record date, time with time zone. Here ID will be the primary key. Here again we will start with a base project to prevent repeating the same topics and instead focusing on the main topic for this section, which is to show the usage of Spring Data JPA and explaining some details like to use batching. Let's briefly see what we have in this base project. As dependencies we have the Kafka consumer, Kafka Aura serializer, as well as Spring Kafka, Kafka module, and Kafka admin, as this will be a consumer for the Twitter Analytics Kafka topic. And since we will insert the data into PostgreSQL, we have PostgreSQL dependency and also Spring Boot Starter Data JPA dependency. We have the similar logback file again with the application name updated, and for Bootstrap YAML file we have set the name and profile specific to this service. And for the profile named Analytics, we have the configuration file in config server repository. Here we set the port as 8188 and set context path, also specify Kafka config, Kafka consumer config, and retry config, as well as Analytics service audience value and Spring Security Resource Server properties for issuer and GW key set URLs. And since we will work with database, we have the JPA properties. We have used these properties before, but here we have some additional properties. In Hibernate prefix, we set to use SQL commands to false, format SQL to true, and for batch size use 50. That means we want to batch the records by 50 before sending them to the database. And with order inserts and order updates, we configured Hibernate to put inserts and updates in order separately to be able to use batching. For data source URL, we use the same PostgreSQL connection string, and for schema we set analytics, which is a new schema we have created. We again set binary transfer to true and rewrite batch insert to true to enable batching on database side. We will talk about batching more on implementation section. We also have Spring Docs config and paths to ignore here. And here we have the new config data class for analytics service. Then we have the constants class again and Spring Boot Starter class analytics service application. Now in security package we have the similar files as was in query service or Kafka stream service. Again I kept them here separately instead of using common classes to let them to be changed easily in future in case we have different approaches per service. Also in config, we have the similar web security config class. And in the business package, we have the Analytics Kafka Consumer, which is a Kafka listener class, as was in Kafka to Elasticsearch. We will implement the receive method here, which is annotated with Kafka listener to consume specified Kafka topic. And we initialize this service safely with event listener annotation as we did previously, and check if required topics created, and then start listening to Kafka topic. Now we overview the base project. Let's complete the implementation of this service in the next lecture.